Hello, it's me again. Yay. Um Welcome to this beautiful, wonderful stream. Oh wait, my harmony is not full screen so that you can see all of my other versions. This software has been out there for lots of years, and that's great. Maybe that's why it's such a great and powerful software. Yeah. All right, so back to business. So hello, I'm gonna start this slow so that people can just log in and get into the chat or whatever. And in the meantime, I'm also going to open a little scene for you guys to check out. Let's go with this one. Why not? So today the plan is to talk about colors, swatches, and palettes, and if you guys have other questions, I will answer them in a very Christmas merry way. Yay. Um yeah, so I have this little scene that I can play with while we get started. So that's another scene I did for Game Grumps, which is a channel on YouTube that they make very cool and funny videos. And sometimes they hire me to do animations. So that's something I did for fun. Um, on top of my regular work because I cannot chill. But you know, when you like what you do, you just do it. And yeah, so if you guys were there at the previous stream, I was talking about that thing. And I was showing how I did like some of the little textures and colors. So as people just log in, I will make a little recap of that. Hello, people who are just joining. I'll try to handle the chat between two platforms, which is quite the deal. Because if you didn't know, we are live both on YouTube and on Twitch, which is cool. All right. Oh wow, there's so many people. Hello, people from different platforms. Yeah. So this is my little animation sheet, animation scene. Um, when it's rendered, it looks like this. So it's got a little lighting done here and there, and for it not to be annoying when I work in OpenGL View, just as a reminder, I always use visibility nodes, these little things, so that then I can decide if I want to see an effect in my OpenGL or not. Because it's great to see the preview, but sometimes if I try to click on my unicorn deer, instead I'll select like the gradient. And I know it's annoying, so I like to disable it like that. Oh my god, there's people from France. Bonjour la France. Parce que oui, je parle français d'habitude, pas anglais, mais je parle anglais dans les vidéos. Parce que c'est plus international. Mais bonjour la France. So yeah, I was just saying that I normally speak French, but for Twitch I switched to English so that all of you lovely people can understand what I say and more people can learn. But yeah, hello. It's fun to see some French speaking audience. And yeah, so I use visibility nodes. And for the drawing itself, let me just show you if you're curious. Because I get asked often, like, how do you get the cool textures? I didn't know Harmony could do textures. I thought it could only do vectors, right? So to do that, I use Harmony, right? Because that's my software that I use all the time. And just to show you how I got that little textures, it's this one is the textured brush, and I was in a hurry, so I didn't even make my own. It's literally Toon Boom's default brushes somewhere in there. One of the last one. I know when I need like splooches of textures, I just default to one of those. I don't overthink it. Oh yeah, it's this one. Dry splooches. Splotches. I don't know how to say that word. Oh my god, hello from South Africa. That's cool. I have a colleague at Toon Boom who works from South Africa. That's cool. Small world. Right. Okay. So what I was saying is that I always take like these dry splotches brush, and you know in Harmony there's a way that you can just repaint on existing artwork with the stencil brush right there. And by using my stencil brush in overlay brush mode, I can just like redraw textures on top of my animation. And this is great. It's easy. But one way that you can use colors and palettes from Harmony is that you can isolate your redrawing ability to one specific colors. To do that, you can just go to your color palette. I hope that they're well named because it's important to name your colors. I almost always name mine. So what I do when I do this usually is I'm gonna look all of my colors. And this is like I'm repeating this from the last stream, but I like to do these like I forgot the word, but like condensed learning from the past stream just so that people can log in and get comfortable. So like this is all thing I said last time, I know, but I'm gonna switch to more recent knowledge in a minute. But you can just like right click and lock all of your colors. And then I will only unlock the one that I want to redraw on top. So let's say that I wanted to put some textures, but only on the belly. At the moment, I can't do anything because everything is locked. But if I took the belly color, which is the spots color, and I unprotect it, then I can use my textured color that I'm going to create right now. I'm going to take a little pink just so that we can see it well. And then when I do this, it's only going to repaint that zone. Yeah. So, yeah, so that's a technique that I use all the time. So I thought I would talk about it because it's a nice introduction to what I want to talk about today, which is mainly palettes and colors and pots and stuff. All right. Oh, we've got so many comments. Well, I'm happy to help everyone, so that's great. Thank you, Agatha. That's really nice. What was I gonna say? Yeah, palettes. Okay, so there's a lot of things that people know and that people don't know about color palettes and swatches and pots and even what are all these terms that I'm using. So in Harmony, of course, you can use bitmaps and vector layers. I always use vector layers, so that's what I'm going to concentrate on because they're usually a bit more complex to like know, because bitmaps is just like one layer with colors, so there's nothing much more to say about it. But like with vectors, there's so many things you can do. So that's what we're gonna do. So now that it's past 10, I will actually start the real thing. So yeah. So color palettes, what are they? So in Harmony, if you have a vector layer and you draw something, there is a palette. It's sure, like, because you need these colors to draw. It's like in real life, you cannot paint if you don't have these bucket of paints. So it's the same in Harmony. So I'm just going to start from a empty scene right there with nothing. And when you load the software, you always have like a few windows, and you have the color window, and you have like scene palettes, and then you have this. This is the default that Harmony has, and you can change this one. I might talk about it a bit later, but it's really more technical and it's a bit boring to show on stream. But you can change the default that Harmony uses, which is great. But yeah, so what are palettes? When you do a palette, which is what I'm going to do here with a candy cane, because I said that it would be like Christmas or something theme. So I'm going to do like a candy cane. And these candy cane candies, they come into many different flavors. Wait, I think they're more like this. Yeah, okay. So they come in many different flavors. Sometimes it's like peach, sometimes it's mint. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of candy canes, but I do know they exist. I don't like to eat them. But they exist and they're Christmassy, so let's go with that. What is your favorite kind of candy canes in the chat, if you ever had them? I like the one that tastes like fruits. Like cherries and other fruits. Okay, so I'm gonna color this with some little colors. And then we're gonna go see what these colors do. So you see I've colored this and you have the colors there in my little window. So each time you need to make a new color, you need to make a new pot of colors. So these are called pots. They're little color pots. Or sometimes people call them swatches as well, but like swatches is too many syllables and life's too short for too many syllables. So I call them pots because they're like little pots of paint. Like this. Then you can just put your brush in. Now it looks like a broom. No, it's a broom. What was I saying? I forgot. Yes, colors. Okay, so what are these? These are just colors in the software. And what are these colors in the software? They're just text files. So let's just go and dive into these very quickly, because this is a bit boring, but it does need to be said, so bear with me. So I have my folder here of my scene, right? And then if you go to your different folders, you have element, environment, and jobs and whatnot. And then you have palette library. What are those? So you see that the palettes that people always say it's so scary, so complicated and stuff, which it is sometimes, but it is just a text file, right? So I'm going to open this to show you. Yes, I want to open with my notepad. All right, so that crazy thing that people are so scared of, it's nothing but a little text file. Yeah. So you see, you have the palette name, and then you have like all these colors: black, white, red, green, new, which is the one I created. And then so this is basically the name of the colors. And then here you have a weird code. This weird code is the ID of the color, and this is what allows us, when you have a character. And where is my scene? No, not this. Where is my scene? There we go. If I have this character and I take the colors here and I right click and I clone it, it's gonna be my clone. If I bring it on top, this is what allows you to have multiple colors linked together like this. I can just repaint it to something else. What should the color be? Let's go with like green or red. I don't know. Maybe like this. A little cherry pink. Yeah, that's cute. So, I pressed X. Of course I did. Silly me. Yes, please. And then I'm going to apply. There we go. So like this little ID trick is the thing that allows you to have like the same character and you can make your animation play, but you can switch between different colors. This is because Harmony does like paint by numbers. So instead of remembering that this is pink or red or whatever, it just remembers the weird, ugly code that I showed you. This thing. Which is the important code, which is why your things are linked together. And then here you have little numbers. So, it's Rgb codes. So the black here, it's just 000, so that's black. And then white is 255 everywhere. And then this one is red, this one is green, and this one is also green, and this one is blue, right? So this is just text file. So you can, even if you're like crazy, you can even like write your color palettes as text and then just import them in Harmony. It works. Not that you should, but it's possible. But yeah, I just wanted to show that this is nothing but a text file. So I thought people would be interested to know that. And then when you draw your colors, when you make your colors like this, you can just make new pots. Like the only color that is really special is the vectorized line. The vectorized line is the color by default of any drawing that you will scan into the software. If you're working with like hand-drawn animation and you import these drawing in the software with like import either from a scanner or when you import image and you want to convert to a Toon Boom vector drawing, vectorized line is the color that the software is going to use to import your drawing. So it's the only very important color in the software, right? And that's why if I look at the ID that I was showing you 5 seconds ago, whoops, that's my files. Where is my file that I forgot? Oh, there it is. So yeah, the text file that I was showing a little while ago. There we go. So that's why it's the only one with a very precise ID. It's like a bunch of zeros and a 3. This is because it's the vectorized line. Just so you know. I thought it was interesting. Is this new information? Did I do someone? If you have any questions about that, just let me know. I'm going to switch over to more interesting things now. So let's say that I have this beautiful drawing. Now, what can I do with it? There's so much things you can do. First, I will show you how to make your color palette and how to link it as well. So let's say that I was working on my own film on my computer. You can make your own palette by just pressing on the plus sign here and making your new palette. But this is the simple version. If you go to, and I'm going to use my other scene because it's prettier than a candy cane. Where is my scene? There it is. I'm going to use that scene just because it's prettier. I have lots of scenes there. Let's say that when I was working on that little short, because there's more than one scene, I just cannot show all of them right now. But you're going to see it when it's released. Maybe next week. I don't know when. So I have multiple scenes with the same palettes. One thing that is sometimes annoying is that if you make a change in one scene, if you change a color, you would like it to be changed in all the scenes. Well, this is possible. I'm going to show you how to make one palette on your computer that's going to affect all your scenes. But before that, we need to learn how to handle these, right? So let's dive in. If anyone has any questions about palettes or swatches and pots and colors, be sure to write them and I'll try to answer them. And if I can't, I'll find a way to answer it. Maybe not today, maybe another day. Who knows? Right, so when you make a color palette, they're right here. By the way, the naming is really important. When I name my colors, I really always do it with it being very clear. Because in colors, you have fill colors, which are like these zones. And then, oops. And then, yeah, you have these color, which are like the lines. So there's always the fills and the lines. That's very important. So that's why when I write my colors, I always call them, for example, L main or like F main. And the L is the line and the F is for fills. This is because when I look at my palettes, I want to know if there's very similar colors. At least I know if there's one for the line and one for the fill. So very important. Name your palettes really well. If you're in a big production, I also advise you to put like a code in front of your character. So if this is the deer, I could just write. I'm gonna remove my autofill. There we go. It could be called like D, for example, and then F main, so that you are sure. And if the main has multiple shades, like highlights and shadows or mid, I usually put these at the end. So like highlights, and then you would have the same D, F main. Instead of main, I'm going to go for body because it's a bit more precise. So body, and then this will be the shadow. So that's usually how I name my colors, and that comes from years in the industry, and I think it's a very solid system. I've tried many different ones, and I think this is one of the most solid It's straight to the point and very efficient. So when I work for myself, I don't really need the D because I'm not gonna use like scripts or whatever. So like this is very efficient because when you work in swatch mode like this, you see all the info you need, and it's fun. By the way, you can switch the view here from swatches or a list just by right-clicking and going swatch mode or the list mode. Just depends on what you prefer. So then what I'm going to do now is show you a bit more about where the palettes can be located. All right, because this is usually the part that people don't get or are confused by. So yeah. When you work with your palettes, the fun thing is that you can decide where you save it. And to do that, usually you just have to go to your preferences, and then you go to advanced, and you can have a advanced palette list. So now when I create my palette, it's going to ask me a bunch of very advanced questions. And this can look very intimidating. I get it. And it is not super intuitive at first. But the one thing I wanted to clarify, because I never talked about it on stream before, is when we say environment, job, and scene, an element, like what are those? So I'm going to show you right now by taking a screen cap. Thank you. And zooming in, please. Huh, you can't zoom in there. That's not convenient. I'm going to save it. I'm going to open it in big. There we go. Okay, so it goes environment, job, and scene, right? So because I get lots of questions about what are those, I know it's not super interesting, but it's going to be very knowledgeable for you guys. Usually, if you work on a big production, the environment will usually be the oops. That's not what I wanted to do. That doesn't work. Anyway, environment will be the show you're working on. The job is the episode, and the scene is the individual scene that you're working on, and the element will be the layers. So usually you don't, well, normally you don't save palettes to an element because it means you need to re-import a palette for each of your layers. So unless you're a very specific studio and you need to do that, don't. Usually we keep the palettes to the scene level, which is what we have when we look at a scene here. And if you look at the folders, you have the palette library list, right? This is where you find them. So this is when you save them to the scene level, which is perfectly fine for any like small projects you're working on. But if you're making a project with maybe more than one scene, even if it's on your own computer, like you don't need to be in a 500 people studios, right? If it's just your own project, what you can actually do is save the palettes somewhere on your computer and then have all your scenes linked back to it. So when I work, I do lots of freelance, and being organized is really important for every artist out there. So listen to this, it's very important. When I work, I always organize my little gigs by folders. So if this is my project number 6 for Christmas, I could then go here and make a new folder that I'm going to call my, for example, GG06, because it was my 6th contract with them. And I would name that Pallets, right? So this is my folder. Now it's empty. But what you could do is create like a palette, and you could decide where you want to save it. So I could take my palette here, and you could link to external. And oh wait, no, I have a memory blank, and I just did it before the stream. All right, I'm silly. So you just created in your scene, and then I would like save my scene, and then if I go here in my files, And this is for an existing color, okay? So if you have an existing color palette that you made, here it is. You can go in your folder and you're gonna go here to palettes, to your scenes palette. Mine is right here. Palette library. I'm gonna find this one. What you can do is you can copy it because it's a text file, right? You can copy it, and then I'm gonna go to my new folder that I created with the palettes. I'm gonna paste it there. Right. So now if I go to like I can go here and I can link it to the folder I just made. Toon Boom 21. No, it wasn't this one. So many folders and my palette. So that's there. So you can like you could import them in a future scene, for example, there. So what this is gonna do is if I have another scene like this one, I could go here and I could import a palette and find the one that I did. Then again, I'm gonna dig in my folders and it's there. And you can have it linked also to the same one that you had. Oops, I'm gonna dig again. This one. Oops. What I want to show is that if you import, they're not going to be linked. It's going to be like a new palette that is going to import to your scene folder. So when you import, so when you import here, you see it's going to have a check mark. This is because it's a palette that they imported to the scene. So it's unique to the scene. If I change the color, it's going to change only in that scene. But you see here, when I went to link external, which is the second choice, I could go here. And now there's a little arrow that says it's pointing to something. So if I modify this palette now, and I go here for my the color of the nose here, I'm going to change it to red. And I'm going to save. And if everything goes well, if I reopen this scene, I'm going to reopen it. Oh, I think it's not the right scene, but it should still work. I think I took the wrong scene, but it should still work. And if it doesn't, I'm just going to redo it. It's fine. You know, on live stream, nothing goes well all the time, so don't worry about it. Right here, I have my scene. Oh, by the way, big thing here. Some people open a scene and there's nothing in their palettes and they panic. This is just because you don't have anything selected. So just make sure you select the layer and all your palettes will be here. So don't worry. Right, so I didn't open the right scene, but it's okay. I'm just gonna go get the palette that I had before, like I did here. And you see, the nose color is not red, just like I did in that other scene. Right here. So the nose color here is different. So if I draw something with that palette here, I'm going to draw a little cute reindeer like I did before. I don't want to autofill. Thank you. You know, these are the kind of things that I do all the time just by habit, and then having to explain it sometimes it's just a bit harder. So sorry for the little things that didn't just work out, but you know, it worked. There we go. That's a lovely little unicorn deer. And if I take this to color the nose, like this. If I go here in my other scene that I'm going to open right now, and you know, let's be wild. I'm also going to color the body right here. Skin color. Gonna make a little. Perfect. And let's do the hair because we are even wilder than we were before. Beautiful. And the ear in. Gorgeous. So that's my beautiful character. And then I'm going to go here, open a new scene. Come in. All right, and I'm going to do like I did before. So palettes, instead of creating a new palette or importing one, instead I'm going to go directly to link external, get the one that I had for my whole project, like this. It's my Dan color. And then if I have another scene where my character is maybe like further away, ooh, that's not super pretty. Okay, so my character is a bit farther away. I can still use the same colors that I used, like this. And I'm going to do the body too, just like we did before. And the ears. And the hair. Yeah, I'm doing this because I think it's going to be easier than trying to do it on my bigger scene because there's so many other factors in it. Okay, push that at the back. There we go. Perfect. So, yay. So now that I have these colors, oops. There you go. So now that I have these colors, there are two different scenes, right? But if I go here and I change the ears, the nose color to a yellow nose, if I save, it's going to save the palette that was saved on my computer. So if I open my other scene here and I reopen it, oops, I need to save this one. Yeah, like that. I'm going to save it. Save. There we go. And then if I go here, it's red. But if I reopen the scene, yeah, this one. Now the nose should be yellow. Give it a second. What did I do wrong? It should work. I don't know what I did. Let's try that again. Green? Go on, I did it like 5 seconds ago and it worked. What is this? Okay, so it's green. So if I open my other scene, it should also be green. Then again, nothing goes all right in streams. No matter how much you prepare it, it just doesn't work. I probably just forgot something silly, but let's see that. There we go. That's what I thought. Okay, so I just know what I did wrong, and it's because I didn't save the other one before, but now I did. So that means that if you have like 10 scenes of the same short film on your computer, and you want all your palettes to be linked together so that if you make a modification, you don't want to do it scene by scene, well, this is how you do it. All right, so just in case you didn't quite get it yet, what you can do is just, there's two choices. Actually, you can go to your palettes in your scene, get the original palette that you made, and just copy and paste it somewhere in a safe place in your computer, like this. And then you can just link all your 30 or 100 scenes to the same palettes, which is great. Or the other thing you can do is just start right away from your software. You can go here, and in palette, you can do select a layer. There you go. When you create your palette, if you are into the advanced palette list that I've shown you before, advanced palette list. You can choose where you want to save it. And that's really great. If you want more info, I will also link a couple of pages and videos into the chat. But yeah, usually how I do it is I just like copy and paste my palettes from my folders, and then I can just keep using them. Oh, I forgot. Sorry, I forgot one thing. When you create a new palette, when you do, what I sometimes suggest, if you can have one scene on your computer, just a random scene. When I did my short films years ago, that's what I did. I had a scene with all the palettes of my characters in it, and I all saved them at the environment level or something of that scene. And then, so it was a Harmony scene, not just a file on my computer. So it was a real Harmony scene with all the palettes that I needed, and then all my other scenes linked to this one. So then again, if I had like many characters, you could all have them there, and then all my other scenes would just linked to that scene. So this is like scene gymnastic that you can do, but it's the same concept. It's just that when I saved my scene, the palette would be saved here in environment, and I just have a whole list. And then whenever I created a new scene, I would just go link to external, and I would take that folder here. So did someone knew that or not? I learned that in school, and then when I graduated, I thought that most people didn't know that trick, and I think it's super useful, and I use it all the time. So I figured that I would just share it. Yeah. So now we have 20 more minutes. So usually I would just take on questions, but I think there's less people coming today to the stream. So maybe we're not gonna have questions, but it's okay because I can just improvise and just talk about a lot of different stuff. So does anyone have questions, both on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube? I don't know. Keep them coming. And yeah, in the meantime, I do have lots of little thingies to show you that it's very fun. So speaking of palettes, there's many ways you can use them and save them. So I've shown you a couple. It was more of like how to do it, but now is more about should you do it. So if you work on a big studio that has like the whole network or like the control center, usually you don't handle your palettes. This is like your studio's job, so you don't even have to worry about it. So what I've been advising you to do is more for like personal project, or this can also apply to like small-ish project. So the problem is that when you have a linked palette, they will always look for the file on your computer. So I'm going to draw here because otherwise I cannot understand anything of what I'm saying. So I guess it's going to be a bit obscure for you too. So let's say that this, this square here is my computer. Yeah, I go by Z on the internet, but you can also call me Mail if you want. And so that's my computer. And I'm going to try to write it a bit better. Ah, there you go. The thing, for those of you who know me, I cannot write horizontally. I don't know why. But I write really well down. So go figure. That's my computer. It can also be called Mail. And then there's going to be like my friend's computer or something. There we go. Okay. So the thing is that when I've shown you to save externally, is that let's say that you have this main scene with all of your palettes in it, and you have lots of different scenes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. They're all linked to this one. So what happens if you take scene 1 and you throw it at your friend so that they can color it or whatever? So then he's going to have scene 1. Then the colors, they're going to try to be like boop, 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 boop. But the colors, they're elsewhere. They're on another computer. Like this is not possible. You cannot like transcend like another computer, right? So yeah, that doesn't work. It works in a studio because they use like the control center and they use networks. So if you do have a LAN or like a network installed in your computer, like you have maybe like a place here in the sky where like you have like a server or something, like a network, it'll work. But you will need to save your palettes. Like I would suggest making a copy of that scene and bringing it here so that scene 1 can still be linked to the server in a way. But even then, that's not my favorite choice. What I prefer is that since all your folders are linked to the main folder here, what I suggest is that you have a, and this is something you can Google after, because there's absolute path and then there's relative path of folders. I'm not going to dive into this subject because it's boring to talk about on a stream, but you can just Google it if you want. It's either absolute path, or you have oh crap, I forgot what I just said. I forgot. No. Relative, yes, thank you, my brain. So you can make a path that is a bit easier, so that it will be like less folder into a folder into a folder into a folder. So you make like a path that is very easy. And then you just have to make sure that on both computer, they're saved at the same place in a way, right? So that what I would suggest is that this is still your main scene, because I'm the master of this, whatever project it is. I have a crown, thus making me the master of this project. But nothing stops me from taking that main scene and like sending it to my friend so that he can save it on his computer. And then all you have to do is make sure that all the links are made there as well. So it's a bit more handling, but honestly, it does save a lot of time and it's very useful to do that. So just make sure that if you use the linked to external, so when you do have link to external, just make sure that you actually send the external part over to your friends. Like, send them your palettes. This is very important. Okay, so we have a couple questions here. Do you have to copy the palette, or can you set up Harmony to just write a new palette to the environment area? What? I'm not sure I understand. I think, Domingo, the question you're asking is more like what studios actually do. So if you work in a big studio where they have the network Harmony, because there's two different kind of Harmony, there's standalone and there's network Harmony. In a studio, they're gonna have the main somewhere in the server, and it just links to it. It's just that if you have Harmony standalone, it doesn't work quite the same. But standalone is made for like smaller teams. So if you have a smaller team of like 4 or 5 people, you can just copy over the main scene. It's okay. Like, you won't have like 500 episodes to take care of. It's just like 1 or 2. So when I was a freelancer, that's what my studio would do. Sometimes we would just have, and that was for like 3D software, because this is not unique to Harmony. Like, many software do something similar. So just make sure you have your colors copied over. So sorry for the little boring tangent, but I thought it was necessary to say. So just be careful to always share your scene. So then you can share a thing. But if your friend changes the color, it will be changed on his, but it won't change on yours. So when they pass the scene back, you're gonna have your colors, right? So just make sure that you communicate, but you're friends, so it should be fine. Anyway, sorry for the complex thingy. I got lost. We have another question. Do you think screen tablets are more ergonomic, Z? Asking because I think you have an XP pen. I don't know why you think that, but I've been using a non-screen Wacom for 10 years now. Okay, so this is very, very personal of a question. And my answer is, for those who knows me, is that I have a strong like dislike for non-screen tablet. I cannot like grasp my head around it, and I tried. Like I got my first like little Wacom bamboo, and that is not because non-screen tablets are bad. They're amazing for so many people. But I do remember having my bamboo fawn at 12-year-old. That was insane. So I had my little tablet here. I still remember how it looks because it was a very big moment in my life. I tried for years and years and years to just make it work, but my brain cannot understand how you can draw like you have your screen and then you have like on your table you have your tablet and like you draw here but it appears here. Like it might never work. I tried for years. It just never worked for me. But then when I was like 20 years old, I don't remember, but when I was in animation school, I got the very first Cintiq, which blew my mind because I had this old 12UX, I think it's called, little baby Cintiq, and it was small, but it was just amazing because now I could just like draw, and it actually was logical. Like I could draw, and it would show up on the screen. My brain just exploded, and like for me personally, I always say I'm a Cintiq princess because I would love to be able to draw on non-screen tablet, but the sad fact is that it doesn't work for me. And I'm almost 30 years old, and like I have years of practice. It just never worked. And for me, it's screen all the time. Like I will use non-screen tablet if I need to demo something, like in a festival, or if I don't have other choices, like I can, but I cannot make pretty art with them. I can use them for like colors or like doing word or navigating the internet or something, but like to draw, me personally, I don't. I sadly I can't. I would love to be great at non-screen tablet because they're so less expensive. This is really way less expensive than these. But at one point, I just made a choice to bet on myself and gave me a chance to actually draw well. And for me, it was getting a screen tablet. So I am not sponsored at all. It's just I'm just answering the question. And I don't have an XP pen. I only have Cintiqs because I've had them for years and I trust them. But there's many different kinds of tablets out there, and they are all pretty great. There's like Uyon, Science Lab, there's XP Pen, there's many different types of tablets. But to answer the questions, the one that I'm using right now is an old Cintiq 21UX. It's like more than 10 years old. It's got the little buttons on the side. So many buttons. And it's square shaped because I love my screens, my Cintiq square. Yeah, so that's what I have. It's got little legs. So which one is more ergonomic? It just depends. Because if you're drawing, because I get the argument a lot that like, oh, screen tablets are not ergonomic. And it's absolutely true. Screen tablet can be really not ergonomic. But so can non-screen tablet. So I don't think the tablet matters. I think the way that you hold yourself on the computer actually matters. So if I'm gonna make a profile drawing here of a screen, let's say you're animating in Harmony on your computer screen, right? And this is important because I always get the question, like, what tablet should I use with Harmony? The good thing is that Harmony can support most tablets out there. And the great thing is that if you have a tablet and you run into an issue, make sure to reach out to desk.toon boom. It's very hard to write horizontally for me. Oh my God. .com. So if you have any problems with a tablet, any types it is, write to Toon Boom and they're going to try to make it work for you. Because, it's hard to support all the tablets in the world, but if we can get them one by like that, it'll be our pleasure. But yeah, to answer the questions about ergonomic and stuff, if you have, I'm gonna have the same setup with like 2 different peoples. So if you have a non-screen tablet, right here on your, right here on your computer, or if you have a screen tablet. Okay, this is person A. If you're sitting the right way and that your arms are like a 90-degree angle and you're drawing, I mean, I'm not a ergonomic professional, I just have some knowledge about it, but I'm not a professional. So if you're drawing and you're sitting in the right position, and your screen should actually be at your eye level, right? So you don't want to hunch. Perfect. Like, your eye level is great. This is great. Continue on your way. But you could also be the person who draws on a non-screen tablet and is drawing, and that has a screen that is too short, so that you're going to start to hunch over as you draw to look at this. Oops, I forgot to remove this one. Yeah, because then you don't have a screen tablet, but your posture is awful, and then you're going to have your back is going to hurt because you're drawing in a weird position. Or maybe you're like slouching in your chair. That's me sometimes when I work. And your screen is there. So like it just depends, right? And if you have a screen tablet, it's the same. You can be somebody who has a nice posture when they work. Like a nice. Oh, by the way, this I know for sure because I've had many like workshops about it. If you work with a screen tablet, just make sure that it's not too much like this, because if you start to draw, you want to have a relaxed posture, and if you draw like this, I can't even draw it, but like drawing like this is gonna strain your back. Like this is not okay. Always make sure if you have a screen tablet, always make sure that your tablet is angled and that when you draw, you're sitting comfortably, and that I know for sure that your arms needs to be at a 45-degree angle when you like draw. This is supposed to be like 45 degrees or whatever. You can Google it to check, but like you should have like a comfortable sitting position and a comfortable way to sit and stuff. Or you can be like me and you can stand up. So like there's many ways. So like ergonomic, I think, has nothing to do with the tablet you're using, because you can have a bad posture with a screen tablet or a non-screen tablet. I don't know how I went for that tangent, but thank you for bearing with me. And we have still 5 minutes left on the stream. So if you have any questions, final questions, let me know. I'm gonna check the Twitch as well. No, it's a bit quiet out there too. Did I miss any question here? Yeah, okay, so no more question. I'm gonna make a quick recap of what we said today. So if you work in Harmony and you have any questions about your tablets, because maybe something is not working as you want, or you want to know which tablet you should get, you can always write to desk@toonboom.com, and they're going to be able to refer you to the best options in your situation. Or if you have any issues, also write to desk@toonboom.com. I'm also going to write in both chats, because they're going to be able to check if they can make it work for you. But usually I didn't have much problems with tablets in general. I've tried a few, and they work great. And for the colors, like I said, you can use your colors up to the scene level, the job level, or the environment level, or the element. And I'm just going to write here so that you don't forget what they are. So there is the environment. There is the job. There is the scene. And there's the element. Oops, element. There we go. So what these are is environment. Usually it's like the top that you can get. It's like the master folder. So that this is usually in the industry, we use it for the episode, for the show, like the series that you're working on. The job will be the episode. And the scene will be the harmony scene. In your palette folder. And then the element will be your layers. You see, I wrote in diagonal, but if I shift it, it's going to be perfectly horizontal. Look how perfect that is. How is my brain doing this? I have no idea. That's still something that I'm trying to figure out. So if you have any clues, let me know. Oh my God. Is it possible to use the one by Wacom in the last version of Toon Boom Harmony? Yes, absolutely. And I use it all the time. When I'm not at my desk, I have my Wacom one and I use it everywhere. In bed or when I go outside in nature. I like to draw and animate on my Wacom one, and it actually works. So, I mean, that's not a Toon Boom answer. That's a Marie-Ève or Z answer. I do love my little Wacom one. And it works great with Harmony. So, yeah. But if you run into any issues, make sure to tell us. Woohoo! And just to finish on that a little bit about the environment, job, and all that. This is more for like studio environment, but I just thought it was interesting for you to know if you're on yourself or like on your own, I mean, or freelance and all that. But generally, when I work for my own things, I will have like a master scene where I save my palettes at the environment level of that scene, just for organization purposes. And usually like 90% of the time I just leave it at the scene level, but I thought it would be interesting for you guys to know that. Yay. And if we don't have any other questions, don't forget to check out the links that we put into the chat. You can check out my little channel. I put videos out there sometimes. We also have a 21 days trial that you can get from the Toon Boom website, and we have a learn portal that is amazing to learn the software. And by the way, on my YouTube, I have new interviews of artists coming out every week during December, so that's also great. And if you want to check out the schedule for the Twitch of Toon Boom for what's coming on in the next weeks, you can do that on the Twitch stream that is right here. So don't forget to go here, check out our schedule. We have lots of things coming up, and it's really fun. So with that, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.